Rapper Snoop Dogg recently broke the internet when he announced in an Instagram post that he's giving up smoke. Snoop Dogg and weed are two things that have become synonymous with one another. Kind of like peanut butter and jelly and P. Diddy and lawsuits. Anyway, back to Snoop. In case you've been living in a cave for the past 3 decades, the reason the announcement sent shockwaves to fans across the internet is because of how he's made smoking a big part of his brand from the very beginning. Not only is Snoop's image associated with him being a smoker, but he also owns stake in several different cannabis companies as well. He's even been featured multiple times on the cover of High Times, a stoner-friendly magazine on which he was awarded the ever-so-prestigious award of Stoner of the Year. Who needs a Grammy when you've got one of those, eh? On another cover of the magazine, he was featured on a hip-hop Mount Rushmore, or Mount Cushmore as they called it. Even TV host Conan O'Brien called him the ambassador to pot. So seeing as his image was so heavily tied to weed, it's easy to see why fans were shocked when they heard the news. He was once asked in an interview, "Snoop, why do you like cannabis so much?" To which he responded, "Well, for one, I enjoy it for medical reasons. It's a peace situation for me. Every time that I've always been around, I've seen beautiful things happen." Now, that might seem like a surface-level answer until you realize the background Snoop is coming from. Snoop Dogg was born and raised on the east side of Long Beach, California, home of the Rolling 20s Crips and constant gang activity. Growing up around such rampant criminal activity, from gang banging and selling drugs to outright murder, would have a negative effect on anybody's state of mind. Even after making it out of that situation and going on to have a thriving music career, Snoop still faced issues that would give an average person PTSD. So with all that being said, it's not surprising Snoop has felt the need to medicate for as long as he has. And even though he's left the gangster image behind for a more corporate look, hosting cooking shows alongside Martha Stewart, he never abandoned his love of trees. That is until the 16th of November, 2023, when Snoop made the now infamous post on his Instagram that he had decided to, quote, "give up smoke." The post garnered over 4.7 million likes. So despite fans having mixed reactions of skepticism and disbelief, it's safe to say the public was paying attention nonetheless. He made the post quite vague, as he didn't specify if he was referring to weed, cigarettes, or vapes even, but the news still got people talking. Now, as we previously mentioned, fans had mixed reactions. Some were skeptical and thought he must have been playing some sort of prank on his fans, while others were genuinely concerned for his well-being and ultimately were supportive of his decision. Snoop's affinity for weed isn't just a thing for optics or business purposes. He's also become something of a political mouthpiece for the advocacy of it altogether. Back in 2020, he remarked that weed was the saving factor for not just hip-hop as a genre, but for hip-hop artists as well. And he might have been onto something. He noted that before weed was so prominent in hip-hop culture, most of the artists at the time were doing coke. He then stated that we should be thankful that weed replaced coke in the industry, because looking back on the artists who were doing coke back then, they're all broke and miserable now. He continued, saying that if the artists in the industry were still doing coke instead of weed, the industry would be a very different place now, and not in a good way. He concluded by saying that the reason he knows weed is good and coke is evil is because he used to sell coke back in the day, and he's seen what it does to people. Ultimately, Snoop would come out again with another announcement that would confirm a lot of theories that were put forward when he initially made the announcement. It turns out that the whole thing was one big promotional campaign for a smokeless fire pit, orchestrated by a company called Solo Stove. Fans were not too shocked that the whole announcement was a marketing gimmick, as many of them had suspected that from the beginning. Although the marketing campaign was viral and talked about all over social media, unfortunately for Solo Stove, it did not spark up much sales for the company. The CFO of the company said in a statement, "While our unique marketing campaigns raised brand awareness of Solo Stove to an expanded and new audience of consumers, it did not lead to the sales lift that we had planned." Safe to say, their marketing campaign went up in smoke, didn't it?